Tonight, as COVID cases continue to rise in the Northeast, mask mandates are returning in some areas. The pushback and the support from those affected.
And the future of mask mandates on public transportation is uncertain. A federal judge making a new ruling, but what's next?
And you may need to dig out your snow brush. A new snowstorm could be on the way, and how much can we expect?
WTOP 10 Nightly News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News. I'm Thomas Caffarella.
And I'm Grace Parenti.
The weather has been great in Oswego lately, but a winter storm could be on the horizon. Tomorrow we could wake up to a very unfriendly spring day. Wet, heavy snow will be falling in many parts of New York tonight, and snowplows are hitting the roadways, dropping salt in preparation.
Snow in the spring isn't uncommon in upstate New York. We average about 4 inches of snow in April each year. A new weather system of snow has been making its way across the country, and communities across New York are preparing for heavy snowfall. As you can see on your screens, this golf course in North Dakota got covered by the same system heading our way. We now turn to our Samantha Carlson with more information. How much could we expect?
So no, snow is not uncommon in April, but if it does happen, it melts pretty quickly. But right now, Oswego County is under a winter weather advisory. Right, yeah, but we could see snow moving in around like early in the morning hours and heading into tomorrow morning. But it'll all melt away on Wednesday with warmer temperatures and even some rain on the way. And it leads to a much nicer weekend as we go forward, so a little bit worth it, I think. Now back to you guys at the desk. I'll have more later.
Thanks, Samantha. COVID-19 hospitalizations have nearly doubled in the last 3 weeks in Onondaga County. New data from Onondaga County reports over 1,000 new cases this weekend, causing 96 new hospitalizations and 1 death. Onondaga County Executive Ryan McMahon says this spike in cases could be caused by the new Omicron variant that is known to be more contagious. Onondaga County is one of the 10 counties in New York State where the CDC says the spread of COVID-19 is high.
Syracuse University will reinstate its mask mandate tomorrow. The college announced it's entering Code Blue. Students will be required to wear a mask in all indoor settings. The next level, Code Red, would require students to wear masks indoors and outside on campus. This decision comes as COVID cases increase across the country and throughout Onondaga County, likely resulting from subvariants of Omicron strain. The best way to protect yourselves and those around you is to continue to get tested, monitor symptoms, and know what to do if you test positive.
Rising cases aren't isolated in central New York. In Philadelphia, the first city to reinstate mask mandates citywide, people now have to wear masks when visiting indoor public spaces. But Philly isn't the only place still cautious about COVID. Amy Kiley reports.
I support the mask mandate, if it's going to save lives.
Today, Philadelphia becomes the first major U.S. city to reinstate its mask requirement for indoor public spaces. That's despite a lawsuit filed Saturday by a group of business owners and residents who are trying to stop it.
When you go to a funeral, you see that people's hair, makeup is done. That is a stylist that does it. They are licensed cosmetologists, and one of the girls is actually considering doing that because she can't deal with the anxiety of dealing with customers yelling at us all the time.
The suit argues the city should base its rules on the same community COVID-19 level guidelines the CDC uses. Those are low in Philadelphia. Instead, the city has its own metrics for mask requirements.
Local officials do have a lot of local knowledge of where is it spreading, in which communities. They're using other types of data. So I have been really supportive of local local leaders making local decisions.
Today is also when the federal transportation mask mandate had been set to expire. Instead, the government is extending it until May 3rd. In New York, Broadway theaters say they're extending their mask requirements through at least next month. But in Washington, the White House is relaxing a bit today. It's hosting the first Easter egg roll since the pandemic began and saying this about vaccine mandates.
We are in a different position now, obviously, and so we really have to ask ourselves, what is the role of mandates moving forward?
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
An update on President Biden's mask mandate for airplanes and other public transportation methods. Florida U.S. District Judge Catherine L. Miz says the mandate is unlawful because it exceeds the authority of the U.S. Center for Disease and Control Prevention and violates administrative law. A Biden administration official says the order is no longer in effect while the ruling is reviewed. The future of the mask mandate is uncertain, but regardless of the outcome, the CDC recommends wearing a mask.
If you've been procrastinating filing your taxes, tonight's your last chance. For most Americans, tonight is the deadline to file federal income tax. It's 3 days later than the usual April 15th deadline. Easter Monday is not a federal holiday, so it's important to have your returns postmarked before midnight. The IRS is urging Americans to file their returns electronically because it is currently taking up to 6 months to process a paper return.
Polish pride is on full display in Buffalo, New York. It is Dingus Day. Tens of thousands of people flocked to the historic Polonia district in Buffalo to commemorate the start of spring. It started back in 2007 with only 500 people. Now, there's been years that have had turnouts of over 70,000. People dress in red and white, eat pierogies, and dance to polka music. After a trimmed-down event in 2021, this year is a full-scale party.
New York City employers are preparing to put pay ranges on job listings as a new law takes effect May 15th. The goal of the law is to even the playing field for job applications by requiring salary information on all job listings. Similar laws in states like Colorado have been designed to narrow the gender pay gap and provide more workplace transparency. Critics say it's not the right solution for the current job market and want to implement the delayed until November.
And coming up later tonight, an act of defiance after weeks of fighting, soldiers and civilians in Ukraine refusing Russia's offer to surrender.
And we'll have more information on the snow coming to central New York this week. Samantha's full forecast after the break.
Only on WTOP.
DiCarlo on the rebound! Alex DiCarlo! Yeah, it's been a wild game so far. A lot of high scoring, so definitely tighten it up and play out that full 60 minutes.
Welcome back to the best show on WTOP 10 out on our own Oswego.
Did you hear that Bad Bunny's going to be in Canada over spring break, you know?
I heard that one.
Drink cognac. The week.
Oh my God.
Roll it.
The Kinda Late Show with Chloe and Anna. Like licorice, Twizzlers, absolutely nasty.
The thought of turkey is just nauseating.
I think you're wrong, is what I think.
You think I'm wrong a lot of time.
I do think you're wrong a lot.
Welcome back. I'm Storm Team 10 meteorologist Samantha Carlson, and before we talk about the snow that's on its way for later tonight, your quick weather fact history for today happened in 1957 in Massachusetts when a dust devil actually lifted a small child about 3 feet off the air and knocked over 2 other kids. Thankfully, though, they were all okay, but it happened, I don't know, but as long as nobody was hurt. Looking out closer to home and in present time, you can see the clouds coming in from the west into our area, and they're going to bring some rain and snow mix for us tonight and into tomorrow. Right now, it looks like it's raining pretty heavily out there around our area and moving north into the North Country. And it would pick up early in the morning today and even out less of a chance as the day goes on. And for your Wednesday, looks much drier and with even some sun. But right now, tonight's forecast, as I said, snow coming in late tonight with a low around 34. So it's definitely going to need a coat if you're going out there tonight, and maybe even an umbrella. Tomorrow the rain went into snow, and with a high of 41 with a little break around noon. So you'll still need your coat, rain boots, and a heavier jacket. For your 7-day forecast, the snow continues tomorrow with a nice day on Wednesday, rain back for Thursday, and it looks like we finally get a nice weekend. So maybe that snow was worth it, in my opinion. Now back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Samantha. What you're seeing on the screen is frustration, to say the least. Snow-covered cars in Wisconsin were a sight many did not want to see today. This person obviously wasn't happy with the snow in the middle of April. This snow may be soon on our doorsteps, however, leading to many more ughs, just a lot closer to home.
As families around the country celebrated Easter, others mourned their loved ones. Multiple shootings rocked the nation this weekend, including a shooting in Syracuse that left 1 dead and multiple injured. Shaimoon Kupez has more.
In Pittsburgh, a mass shooting at a large party held at a short-term rental property. 2 17-year-olds were killed, and police say at least 8 others were wounded by the gunfire early Sunday morning.
It's heartbreaking. I mean, here we are, Easter, and we have multiple families, 2 that won't see a loved one.
Police say as many as 200 people were at the party, most of them underage.
How can you even have a holiday when your child was involved in something traumatic like this?
According to the police chief, multiple shooters firing more than 90 rounds inside and outside of the house. Some partygoers jumped out of windows, leaving some with broken bones and cuts, police say. The search for the suspects is underway, and officials are urging anyone with information to come forward as investigators process as many as 8 separate crime scenes. In Columbia, South Carolina, 1 man was arrested after a mass shooting at a mall on Saturday.
We didn't know who was shooting, what direction it was coming from, and it was really terrifying.
22-year-old Joanne Price appeared in court Sunday. According to the Columbia Police Department, Price is charged with unlawful carrying of a pistol. Police said more charges are possible. CNN has not been able to determine if Price has a lawyer. He's been released on house arrest. Police said they believe those involved in the shooting knew one another. The shooting left 14 people injured, at least 9 suffered gunshot wounds, and 5 others hurt while attempting to leave the scene. About 100 miles south of Columbia in Hampton County, South Carolina, police say 9 people were shot early Sunday morning at a lounge. CNN affiliate WTOP-TV reported the lounge was hosting an Easter bash when the shots rang out. Some people jumped into nearby ditches to avoid being hit, WTOC reported. The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division is leading the investigation. In Boston, police said 2 people were shot in the city's Chinatown neighborhood.
Both of these males were transported to local area hospitals, and both are currently listed in critical condition with life-threatening injuries.
3 suspects are in custody after the vehicle police said they were fleeing in crashed. 2 were injured in the crash, but police said they do not believe those injuries are life-threatening. Boston police say what led up to the shooting is still unclear, but the investigation is ongoing.
That was Percupez reporting. There have been over 140 mass shootings since the beginning of this year.
In an act of defiance, Ukrainian survivors rejecting the demands of Russian troops to surrender or die. That's in the city of Mariupol tonight. Across the county, civilians are making the tough choice to flee or to fight as Russian forces begin attacks in eastern Ukraine. Mike Valero reports.
Smoke billows from Lviv, once thought as a refuge where thousands of families fled from Russian atrocities. Now, the western Ukrainian city near Poland grieves its first reported fatalities of the war. 4 missile strikes hit Lviv, killing at least 7 people. The blast wave shattered windows in a hotel where internally displaced Ukrainians were staying. The fighting is also intensifying in the east, where Tamara shelters with her grandson in Severodonetsk.
A lot of people can't leave this place because of problems with health, and they don't have enough money.
Ukrainian forces in Mariupol rejected a weekend ultimatum from Russia to, quote, surrender or die. Ukrainian troops are now surrounded within a massive steel plant, the last known pocket of resistance in the key port city.
The situation is very difficult in Mariupol. It's clear that things won't get better.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky tells CNN's Jake Tapper Russian forces took thousands of children from Mariupol, and it's unclear where they are now.
About 5,000 children deported from this region to Russian side because they didn't allow them to go to the Ukrainian side, I mean the Ukrainian control side yet. That's it, so we don't know what is with their children. Where are they?
He adds Ukraine won't give up any territory in the east as a new Russian offensive is expected there in the coming days. I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
An update on the situation in Ukraine. Russian forces have began their advance in eastern Ukraine, shelling multiple locations. All of the countries on Ukraine's eastern border are NATO members. And coming up, what a U.S. Surgeon General is saying about the mental health crisis.
And the new warning tonight, what you should look for in your makeup bag.
The Kinda Late Show with Chloe and Anna. Like licorice, Twizzlers, absolutely nasty.
The thought of turkey is just nauseating.
I think you're wrong, is what I think.
You think I'm wrong a lot of time.
I do think you're wrong a lot.
Welcome back to WTOP 10 Nightly News. Here is your health and consumer updates. It's a lot easier these days to get an at-home COVID-19 test, but many of those tests may not be reported. The Institute for Mental Health Metrics and Evaluation reports only 7% of positive COVID-19 cases are being detected. That's leading to a drastic undercount of cases, and the case rates could be 14 times higher than officially reported. In a shift, many states are now emphasizing hospitalizations instead of positivity rates. The CDC is now recommending that all states adopt this metric instead.
Thousands of nurses and healthcare workers took to the picket lines in California to protest staffing and safety issues. The California Nurses Association says over 8,000 members took part in a one-day strike across the state on Monday. The union claims that they have been negotiating with Shutter Health for a new contract since last year, and the facility refuses to address concerns about staffing and pandemic-related health protections. Negotiations are expected to continue with a federal mediator.
As workplaces continue to reopen across the country, many workers are starting to wear makeup again. However, you may want to check your makeup bag before putting on that lipstick. Mandy Gaither has more on today's Health Minute.
It may have been sitting around for months, that makeup you haven't touched much since the beginning of the pandemic.
Expiration dates are really important to keep in mind when it comes to makeup.
Dr. Susan Masick, a dermatologist and assistant professor in the Ohio State College of Medicine, says sometimes manufacturers will stamp on an actual date of expiration, but they may also put on a period after opening stamp.
Oftentimes there'll be a logo with an open jar and a number and an M after it, which means, for example, 6M would be 6 months after opening would be an appropriate expiration.
When it comes to shelf life, Dr. Masick says any eye makeup like mascara or liner should be replaced after 3 months. Liquid blushes, concealers, or foundations throw out after a year. Anything that's a pencil for your lips, brows, or eyelids can stay around for a year as well. Lipsticks and lip glosses are good for 1 to 2 years. Not only can expired products not work as well, but can also harbor potentially harmful germs.
The downsides to those kinds of contaminations, which are generally things like skin infections, skin irritation, certainly eye infections, conjunctivitis, styes, those things can all arise from contaminated or expired makeup.
If you notice your makeup is drying out, don't put water or saliva on it.
That actually introduces even more bacteria that you're then going to be spreading on your face.
So if you're spring cleaning, you might want to include your makeup bag. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Gas prices in Syracuse are slightly above the national average. However, the average price of gas around Onondaga County are allowing residents to breathe just a little. According to AAA, gas prices are down 4 cents from last week. This is still a long way from where we were a year ago when prices were $2.89.
U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy spoke at an event today regarding mental health issues. At the event, Dr. Murthy says that it's important for young people to address health issues. The event also included students who shared their experiences and what they think can help. It is a problem Murthy says he can understand.
When I was younger, when I was in grade school, I struggled a lot with my mental health. I didn't have anyone to really talk to about it. Well, I did have people. My parents cared deeply about me. My sister did, but I was too, ashamed and embarrassed to really talk to them, much less to talk to any of my teachers or counselors in school about what I was struggling with.
CDC says that suicide is the second leading cause of death for those between the ages of 10 and 24. Health officials say that the pandemic has made the mental health crisis much worse.
A fan favorite menu item is returning to Taco Bell. Fans are drooling over the return of Mexican pizza. After a 2-year hiatus, the fast food chain confirmed Monday that Mexican pizza will reappear on menus next month. Taco Bell introduced the item in 1985, but the restaurant stopped serving it back in 2020 to cut costs. The move caused some outrage, with hundreds of thousands of people signing a petition demanding it back. Mexican pizza is expected to relaunch May 19th.
And coming up in sports, Ben Kinney.
Ben, can you give us a quick preview?
Well, Grayson Thomas, the Lakers softball team broke out the brooms on Friday against Potsdam. The Syracuse Crunch, they continued their push to the Calder Cup playoffs. And some morning baseball in Boston as the Minnesota Twins face the Boston Red Sox on Marathon Monday in Beantown. All that and more coming up on WTOP Sports.
Athletics. Aaron, there were 6 big points. This is the one you've been waiting for. This group has never beaten Cortland.
Getting started with some men's soccer as the Lakers had 2 conference matchups
for half of the Lakers' goals this entire season.
Offense is key. You talked all about scoring goals.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News.
For the governor race with a strong lead, former Governor Andrew Cuomo is...
Barlow announced the completion of a large building mural in downtown Oswego.
The renovations on the Hewitt Union Building, turning it into the new Hewitt Hall.
And as we move into tomorrow, that rain is going to be in our area.
Moving to the Diamond now, as Sweet Caroline got a lot sweeter last night.
Life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire, but you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
We've been marinating chicken in all sorts of liquids for 24 hours. These are vitamins and minerals and things that you need, nutrients. The chicken speedy is a staple of our culture.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Sports. I'm Ben Kinney. We start with the Oswego State men's lacrosse team who traveled to rival Geneseo on Friday to take on the Knights under the lights. The Lakers and the Knights were back and forth all game, but it was ultimately the Lakers who fell short at the end. Ryan Eccles will strike first for Oswego State at the 10-minute mark of the first quarter. That lead would not last, though. The Knights would then score 3 unanswered goals in the final 4 minutes of the quarter to take the lead. The two teams would then spend the second half of the game trading goals back and forth until the fourth quarter, when the Knights put on an onslaught of offense, scoring 3 straight goals. The Lakers would attempt to make a comeback, but would fall just short, dropping the match 11-10. The Lakers now enjoy some time off before traveling to Oneonta to face the Red Dragons this Saturday. The Hats were flying in the Upstate Medical University Arena on Saturday as Charles Houdon netted a hat trick to help the Crunch to a 5-1 win over Toronto on Saturday. The Crunch were first on the board about 15 minutes into the game. Alex Barboulette sped into the zone on a breakaway and dropped a pass back for Houdon to send home as he followed behind. Syracuse doubled their lead with a power play goal 5 minutes into the middle frame. A Toronto defender skated into Hutchinson as he came out to play the puck, allowing Houdon to wrap around the cage out of Gretzky's office and jam the puck into an open net. Nick Perbix then potted his first professional goal at the 11:57 mark with a wrister from the bottom of the right circle, also known as Ovechkin's office, to make it a 3-0 Crunch lead. Houdon would complete the hat trick halfway through the third period when he fired home a slap shot from the top of the left circle to regain the 3-goal lead. The Crunch continued scoring 3 minutes later when Daniel Walcott chipped in a shorthanded goal during an odd man rush with Gabriel Fortier. The Crunch returned to action on Friday when the Belleville Senators come to town. Grace, Thomas, back to you guys.
All right, well, that is our report for tonight. Be sure to stay tuned for the Stanislaw Show.
Thank you for watching and have a great night, everyone.
This job looks perfect. It says you need a high school diploma. You've got one of those, right?
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
I got that.
Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.